Hi, and welcome back to the Scribe Studio. I'm Mark Walker, and I'm joined today by Paul Varley. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
And Paul is going to be helping us out with understanding what some of the changes are in the winter 2015 release of Scribe Online. So, Paul, why don't you take us through some of these new features and capabilities?
Absolutely. Let's dive in. So the first thing that you'll notice when you open a solution within the integration service in Scribe Online, you'll see a new button at the top called Run Map Now.
Okay.
So this allows you to go ahead and run an individual map by itself. Very useful if you're in the design process and you're just working on a new map, you want to see what the results are. You no longer have to enable maps, disable them, save the solution, and exit out. You can go ahead and just click this button, and that's just going to go ahead and queue up a job to run that specific
the current map that you have selected.
You already had selected.
Now, does the map have to be enabled?
It doesn't. As you notice, I don't have the checkbox here, but it's running anyway.
All right.
So it's regardless of whether it's enabled or disabled, just has to be complete.
Okay.
You can't run an incomplete map.
All right.
But as long as it's complete, you can go ahead and run it.
Okay, terrific.
So that's the first thing. Next, if I open up this other map, you'll see that it of course opens the map up, and I wanted to show you a couple of things that we've changed here. First of all, you'll notice some new buttons down here at the bottom.
Okay.
You've got an apply button,
right,
which is basically going to tell you to save and stay on the map.
Okay.
In the past, you could save, but it would close the map. Now it stays open.
Okay.
And then OK is pretty much the same behavior you had before, where
save and close.
Save and close, exactly.
All right.
All right, so that's the first thing I wanted to point out. The next thing is we now have the ability to change a block type, and this is something we heard quite a few times
heard about that too.
from people. It was on OpenMind and a bunch of things. You can now right-click on an operation block and say Change Block Type to.
Okay.
And when you do that, it's going to give you a selection of other types that are compatible with the block that you had. So if I started with upsert, I might want to change it to a create, or an update, or an update insert. Let's just try update for an example. And when I do that, you notice that I now have a warning on there because there's some additional information that I need.
Now, what block operation type was it before you changed it?
It was upsert before.
Okay, and now
I changed it to update. And if I drill in now and look at my errors tab, I'll see that I need to set a matching criteria to complete the change from block type A to block type B.
Right, so for example, if you had it as an insert or create block and you change it to a delete or you change it to an update, it would need matching criteria.
Exactly.
So you can use that little errors feature that we have to help you figure out what parts might be missing.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So now the next thing I'm going to show you is we've actually put in locking capabilities on maps. So I'm actually logged in.
Why do you want to lock a map?
Well, the reason that you want to lock a map is when you have multiple people in an organization, multiple designers, and working on the same map. In previous versions, if you were editing a map and I opened the same map, I could edit it, and if you made changes but hadn't saved yet, and I saved, your changes would get erased.
Okay.
And we didn't do a good job of giving feedback when that happened.
Okay.
And now it's going to prevent that. So if I'm in here in this login, and what I've done is I've logged into Scribe Online with a different user in a different browser.
Okay.
So if I switch to that now, and I try to open that same map, you can see there's a lock on it.
Okay.
And that little icon shows me that I can't open it. You notice that if I select that, my edit button is grayed out, which means I can't open it.
Doesn't let you even get in there.
Right, but it does tell me down here at the bottom who the user is that has it locked.
Okay.
So if I really need to get in and edit that map, I know who to call.
You can go knock on their door.
To unlock it. And there's even a way for an administrator to force an unlock.
That's what I was going to ask,
because
what if in your other session where you're logged in as the person who has it locked, if you go to lunch or your browser crashes or something.
That's right.
So your computer crashes. Now that map is locked.
If it's the same user, I can still get in. So if I have it locked myself and my browser crashes or my computer crashes, I have to restart.
Right.
When I open up a new Scribe Online session, I can still get into that map.
Okay.
But you can't. Now, there is a failsafe mechanism so that if if I go away on vacation for a week and I happen to leave a map open, there's a way for an administrator of the organization to unlock that map. And that's described in the documentation. I don't need to get into that here. But that's just a really handy way to prevent people from overwriting each other's changes on that. All right, so I'll go back to my original login so I can cancel out of that and go ahead and release that lock on the map. Now, one thing that I didn't show you initially was when I go to the Solutions tab and I open a map. When I first open it, when I open the solution, I go directly to the Maps tab now.
Right, where
so that just saves you a couple of different clicks.
You take you to the first tab.
It's right. It used to always drop you in on the general screen.
Next, and just skip over.
And of course, everybody else had to either click next every time or click on the Maps tab. So what we're doing is just making it a little more streamlined. The first time you create a solution, so if I go ahead and create a new solution, I'll still start on the general tab. I won't jump to the Maps tab. But when I'm opening an existing solution, that's when it's going to take me directly into Maps and go there. Another thing I wanted to show you is on the Marketplace, there's a new type of connector here on the Marketplace that you'll notice. In the past, we had connectors that anyone could install. Some of them were free, some of them were paid. Those are still there. And we had the concept of a private connector that partners have deployed, but they have control over who can access it, and they have a procedure that they go through to give that connector to the organization that they want to have it. The difference is that those private connectors were never visible in the past. So if I'm a customer of Silverpop, for example, I wouldn't know that by looking at the Marketplace that I could get their connector. Now we have the concept of a connector that's private in terms of its distribution, but I have to request an installation. And so this dispatch connector is one of those. Instead of an install button, I've got a request install. When I click on that, I go to a page that they've defined, and I fill out whatever information they want. From me, it might include my credit card number if I have to pay for it. And then once I've satisfied their expectations about getting the connector, they'll go in and give me the access to it the same way that they would have in the past. That's just a marketing tool, and it gives subscribers the ability to see a broader base of what's out.
So what's behind that request install would be different for every partner of ours that has a connector they want to publish in this way. So they might have it go to a different looking landing page or a different type of a form.
Yeah, it's totally under their control, just like it is today or in the past with the private connectors. They can decide how they want to do that. And then one other thing I wanted to show you, it's a little bit hard to show in the UI, but we have a whole bunch of new formulas that we've introduced. In fact, 25 new ones. And you'll notice that I just clicked on the help link at the bottom of the screen. That's taking me to the Scribe Online help. On the front page, there's a link to the latest release notes. And that, in fact, describes all of the features that we've just been talking about, so you can read about those in more detail there.
You just saved me from asking that in the wrap-up for this video. I was going to ask,
so
where
I
do people go to
anticipated that question.
Excellent, Paul.
But also, in the release notes, you've got a list of these 25 new functions that you can take advantage of.
Do you have any favorites?
I don't know. Some of the string processing, perhaps. One of the more requested ones is to have a row number in your map. So it's like a sequence number. Every time you process a record in your map, it increments by 1. So let's say you're writing out a text file and you need to have a line number on each.
You're doing a header and detail type of situation. But maybe you don't have maybe you need to write that sequence number.
It might not be in the source data. But you may still need it in the output file. And that sequence number function will keep track of that and allow you to write that out in your file. So those are kind of the highlights of what we've been adding recently, and we think people will really probably have a better experience now that those things are there.
I'm sure they will. So Paul, thanks a lot for taking the time to share that with us. Again, if you're looking for more information about this release, you can find it right here on the screen in the Scribe Online help. If you go back to that topic in the help, where on the top, the main topic, there's a link right there that's highlighted that says latest release note, so you can get all the same information that Paul just described and even a little more detail than you went into.
That's right.
Great. Well, thanks again, Paul, for taking the time to share that with us, and we hope you come back another time and check out some more tips and tricks from our Scribe experts.
We'll see you then.